Today on Expert Showcase, Dr. Jill Pagliei talking about low back pain, 3 things you need to know. Dr. Jill, welcome to Expert Showcase. We're so glad to have you as today's expert guest. How are you doing today?
Good, Mark. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So just to give the audience a quick place to focus, give me a quick overview of pretty much what we're going to focus on in today's episode.
Well, low back pain, as you know, is literally painful, and it creates discomfort, it limits activities, and it generates anxiety for people. So accidents can happen, but awareness of the way you move is key. In fact, a recent study of 1,000 low back pain sufferers showed that being distracted during an activity increased the incidence of low back pain by about 25 times.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's important to be focused and aware of the way you move. So we're going to talk about how to reduce back pain now and then how to reduce it from recurring in the future.
Excellent. And so just to give people a quick sense, we usually try to break things down into 3 key takeaways. So we're going to talk about maintaining a neutral spine. You're going to teach me a little bit about that. We're going to talk about stabilizing the spine and then getting adjusted. So these sound like pretty important things to understand, especially if I have some kind of low back pain I'm dealing with. So Jill, let's take those in order. Maintaining a neutral spine, what's that about? What do I need to know if I'm trying to take care of my back a little bit better?
Right. Well, neutral spine is a position of minimal tissue stress. So when you bend forward or move, the back muscles have to counteract gravity that pulls your spine, the vertebrae, and the discs forward. So when the back is flexed or curved, that puts the low back muscles in a mechanical disadvantage. And I have a prop for you, so let me just demonstrate here.
We have a spine.
Yes, a spine here. Okay, let me see if I can get it right here. So a neutral spine is maintaining that natural low curve in the lower back. So when you bend forward or flex, the back starts to round. Okay, and then that can create increase your chance of hurting your back, or if you do that repetitively, it can create increase the chance of herniating a disc. It's actually the most common way to herniate a disc is repetitive flexion, especially if you're going to your end range or if you're carrying a load. So you want to maintain a neutral spine whenever you're doing a task, whether it's doing squats at the gym or picking up your toddler or pushing a vacuum. You want to try and maintain a neutral spine.
Now, let me be totally selfish here, Jill, and take advantage of our time together here and say, what about a person like me who spends way too much time sitting in a chair, sitting in front of a computer? I do have some bad habits, especially if I'm working on, some video editing or something. I'll start to kind of, curl over a little bit here. I mean, what am I doing to my spine? and where am I? I'm probably nowhere close to neutral spine when I'm doing that, am I?
Right. Right. Well, if you have back pain currently, you want to minimize the offending posture, which is usually flexion, bending, sitting. So you want to minimize that sitting by getting up periodically.
Okay. If
you're at your desk watching TV, whatever it is, you want to stand up, reach overhead, extend backwards.
Okay, so go back in the opposite direction and kind of get things back where they should be.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good to take micro breaks from sitting. 20 minutes is ideal, but at least try and take them periodically so that you can kind of counteract the effects of sitting all the time.
So every time I get up and go to the refrigerator, it's a good thing. I'm taking care of my spine. I may not be taking care of my gut, but I'm taking care of my spine. Excellent.
Right,
okay, so maintain a neutral spine is obviously really important. So you also then said that working on stabilizing the spine is a really important thing. So tell me about that. What do I do to stabilize my spine, especially if I have any kind of low back pain that I'm dealing with?
Well, you would stabilize the spine by engaging your brace. And what that really means is a light contraction, about 10% of the abdominal muscles and even the low back muscles.
So like tightening everything up a little, not like super clenching, 10% of just kind of tightening up the muscles a little bit, is that right?
Right. You're not sucking in the gut as hard as you can, but you're creating a stiffness. Like when you cough, like cough, you create that stiffness. Or like if I was going to come and punch you in the stomach, Mark, you'd tense up a little bit.
Yes, I would. Please don't do that.
Yeah. So you tense it up a little bit, and then you try and maintain that stiffness through the duration of a task. Again, if you're doing squats at the gym, picking up your toddler, pushing a vacuum. So that's shown to be protective of the spine, maintaining that brace.
Okay.
And you also hear that a lot in exercise classes. They'll say engage your core or stiff, or engage your brace, and that's what that really means, is to create that little bit of a stiffness.
And when I'm doing that, Jill, is that literally actually strengthening the muscles that when I'm doing that? Is it like a mini workout, or how does that help? Or is it I'm only stabilizing it while I'm kind of clenching it a little bit there?
Well, it can strengthen it a little bit, but you're also ingraining the pattern. Okay. So remember what I said earlier about being distracted during the activity. If you practice that brace and that neutral spine together, then you're less likely to lose your form and forget your form. If something does distract you, it becomes more automatic.
Excellent. Okay, so it becomes kind of an automatic habit then, a healthy habit essentially of how I'm holding myself.
Right, right. So they did a study where they had a cadaver spine with no muscles or ligaments, and they found that it collapsed after with a load of 20 pounds. So you really see the difference that makes if you engage the muscles.
I guess the cadaver can't engage its muscles very much.
Right, right.
I've been accused of being a cadaver once in a while, but I guess it's not a good excuse for me. I'm able to at least do a 10% engagement there, so I probably should be doing that more often.
Right, right.
So then let's talk about your third point then, so getting adjusted. I'm guessing you don't mean my kind as a psychologist of, getting your head adjusted. You're talking about the spine, so tell me about that.
That's right. Well, a lot of times when you have back pain or there's some kind of dysfunction, you have loss of mobility in the spine, or there's some type of altered biomechanics. And this altered biomechanics can create dysfunction in various structures of the spine, the bone, the ligaments, the discs, and even parts of the nerve. And that's partly why bed rest is no longer recommended for back pain, because you're not moving and your joints can become hypomobile. So the way the adjustment addresses this is kind of twofold. First, let's talk about nerve receptors. You have mechanoreceptors, which are nerve receptors that sense motion and movement and where your body is in space. Then you also have nociceptors, which are nerve receptors that sense harmful stimuli. And these stimuli can be perceived as pain when they reach certain parts of the brain.
Okay.
Now, the nociceptors can be stimulated even when you're not having pain. Okay. And that's sometimes why when you pick up that pencil, it's not heavy, but then all of a sudden you have pain afterwards. It's not necessarily that pencil, but there was something going on prior to, and that just pushed you over the threshold.
Okay.
So the mechanoreceptors that sense the motion can function to inhibit the nociceptors.
Interesting.
So if they're working properly, they can actually reduce your perception of pain. And the reverse is true. So if you have a hypomobile joint or the biomechanics are not functioning properly, they're altered, then your mechanoreceptors aren't firing quite properly. And that can diminish their function and actually increase your perception of pain a little bit.
Wow, that's really interesting. So yeah, I'm completely unaware of that whole sort of mechanism there. So by engaging one set of nerves and sensation, I'm actually blocking out one that might be getting almost like too loud if the other one isn't there. I mean, my pain sense is actually getting too sensitive, right?
Probably a good analogy. And then what the adjustment does is it addresses the hypomobility by increasing the range of motion, and then helping to facilitate the biomechanics. And then that, in turn, stimulates the mechanoreceptors, which can inhibit the nociceptors. And that can help reduce the pain right now. The adjustment can affect your nervous system in a way that you might not be able to yourself. And so that can help your pain right now. And then secondly, because hypomobility and altered biomechanics can accelerate degeneration and arthritis and things like that, by getting the adjustment, you may be reducing your chances of these things in the future.
Excellent. And obviously, to state the obvious, I'm assuming the getting adjusted part is literally what I come to you for. This is literally the chiropractic adjustment that we're talking about. It's not something I'm doing myself. It's an intervention that I'm coming to you for professionally, right?
Right. It's a hands-on treatment where we just induce a little motion into the joint. And it's usually, pretty painless.
Every now and then there's a snap, crackle, pop, right? But it's actually usually a relief, not a painful experience at all.
Sure. Yes.
Excellent. Well, this has been great. I have actually learned a ton here just now, Jill. So, I mean, I'm very glad we did this episode. And so if you're out there and you've got low back pain, or you're just looking to actually keep your back healthier, we've been talking with Dr. Jill Pagliei, who's a chiropractor. And we've been talking about low back pain, 3 things you need to know. And just to recap those 3 things, we've been talking about maintaining a neutral spine. We've been talking about stabilizing the spine, and then the actual adjustments that you get by working with a chiropractor like Dr. Jill. So, Jill, I want to tell people how they can get in touch with you, since I know that I found this helpful, and it's actually helped me understand chiropractic a whole lot better. So if you want to get in touch with Dr. Jill, you want to give her a call at her office. Her office number is 484-840-9100. So again, 484-840-9100. But the other way that might be even easier to remember is to visit Dr. Jill's website, and that is drjillchiropractic.com. So we'll put that up on screen for people so they can see it. Jill, it's been great having you on Expert Showcase. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, Mark. That was a great summary.